This summer, I had my first ever professional videography gig. I felt like I got to develop my own style a lot, but I also learned at every single corner. There's a lot of things that surprised me, both editing and actually filmmaking. So I want to talk to you about that experience. My gig was for the Chimes Retreat at the University of Alabama. When I was planning what I wanted to do for this, I knew my personal style is kind of documentary, interview-heavy storytelling. I decided to focus on the most compelling aspects of the retreat to me, and those were first and foremost how students were making friendships and how they were getting involved in communities before they even got to campus. So that was what my entire story was built around. In the actual filmmaking process, I learned that the most important thing in kind of run and gun style filmmaking is definitely mobility. There was always something I needed to get to. There was always a different event, a different activity, and if I wasn't there, I missed it and I wouldn't have another opportunity to film it. What goes along with getting to all those activities is certainly communication. If you're not communicating with the event's organizers and leaders constantly, you're gonna get left behind. And one of the first things I did was I tried to establish like a good rapport with both of the leaders of the organization. I was always in communication with them and they were always willing to help. I also learned a lot in the editing process, and the first and foremost thing to any promotional video like this is the music. And I did not have any idea how much of a pain it is to get music. It took me hours and hours and hours of going through stock music that oftentimes is just terrible. Even on sites like Epidemic Sound and Artlist that have like really good musicians working for them and a really good organization system, it's so hard to find decent music. It took me probably more time to find good music than it did to edit the whole thing. The other thing I learned in the edit was just how difficult and how complicated it is to color grade and how long it takes. Here's me working on a really short clip that I barely even used. If you're a perfectionist like me, color grading is one of the most time-consuming and difficult efforts in any project. There were a lot of things I need to improve on. I guess like the first thing I need to get out of the way is my workflow. Like, it takes me so long to get some of these things done. And part of that is because I'm inexperienced and I just don't know all the hotkeys. I don't know all the methods that professionals use. And part of it is because I procrastinated. Like, if I had done the editing right after the retreat in the summer, my life would have been so much easier. I procrastinated until the fall when I had classes, and gosh, that was so stressful to try to get your classes done and work on this gig that you're getting paid for. The biggest thing that I think I need to improve on and I can improve on right now is storytelling. I think the hardest part about making any video is engagement. And you look at people like Casey Neistat and Mr. Beast, those are just two random examples of people who are really good at making engaging content throughout the entire video. And that's hard to do. My friend David, who's another filmmaker, check him out, he makes really good stuff. He told me that I really needed to have a really interesting and attention-grabbing 30 seconds to the video. And I think he's completely right. That's really hard to do when you don't plan for that. So for my next project, I'm definitely gonna be considering how I'm gonna start the video before I even start working on it. Another thing that creates engagement in any storytelling is conflict. And that is pretty much non-existent in this whole video that I made. It's pretty much just happy, 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 happy. If I could go back and redo some of the interviews, I would have definitely tried to focus on some of the negatives that are going on. I could tell in the first set of the interviews of the weekend that a lot of the students were extremely nervous coming in. They were tight, they were scared. But by the end, they were loose and they were very relaxed. I think that's a really cool part of the story of the Chimes Retreat. And I wish I had done more early on to establish just how nervous a lot of these kids were. Conflict makes a story, and this story had very little conflict. And as you know, interviews are a big deal to me. I need to ask for more follow-up questions, and I need to ask for more clarification on their answers. One of my goals for the next project I do with interviews is to scare the people I'm interviewing with how much attention I'm paying to their answers. Honestly, I have never had a better working experience than I did that weekend. I've worked a lot of jobs, and even with great coworkers who I love, it gets so boring, and it gets so monotonous eventually. The ability to actually put my own touch on a lot of the stuff that I make and to be fully responsible for the final product, whether it's good or bad, is just honestly the best part about filmmaking to me, besides exploring an event and telling a story. I hope that inspires you in some ways on your next project, and I'm looking forward to what the future holds. So thanks for watching. I have a lot more stuff coming up, so be looking out for that. I better wait out this train. This is one of the perks of living in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. You might notice my voice is a little lower today and I'm a little hoarse. That's because Alabama just destroyed Auburn. It wasn't even close. I was never scared or had any anxiety at all.
No, you can speak.
I was like,
Yeah.